All right, thanks to our amazing sponsors and our amazing patrons as well. This is the Crowject coming at you, not necessarily live, but a little bit earlier than normal because we have a huge gather round week coming at you. And we have a lot of rage that we just need to get off our collective chests. Now, my name's Peter, and thank you for tuning into the Crowject. And I'm also joined by Lachie down the pipe in the Riverland. Lachie, how are you, buddy?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, yeah, good. Now, we just recorded a little bit of a pre-roll where we discussed all things selections and, drummed up a run sheet as well. Head over to patreon.com/Crowject to sign up to that. Now, we have a lot to get through tonight. We've got to go through all things about umpiring decisions, our 1 point loss against the Gold Coast as well, all the news that's come out during the week, including some huge AFL women's news too in regards to our coaching ranks. But let's just get into it. Lachie, we had a game on Saturday where we went down by 1 point to Gold Coast. Lachie, give me your initial reaction to that last quarter, my man.
Oh, well, I'll have to say, just to start off with, I was quite impressed with the performance probably the whole day, apart from maybe the first 5 minutes. We started a bit slow, but thought we really worked into it and had great control over the game. Um,
Mm.
and we'll get to that more as to why later on. But yeah, I was proud of the fight, but yeah, it's just a game that's again overshadowed by a decision out of our control.
We'll get to decisions very soon. We've got a lot to go through. Now, speaking of decisions, Lockie, we were just talking in the pre-roll about was this won or lost at the selection table? And there was a selection that popped up, my man, that I think collectively we weren't surprised by, but the vitriol against this one player just poured down from high. We talk about one Lockie Murphy. Now, Lockie, not Lockie, your last name's not Murphy, but how did you feel like it went, man?
Look, now, as I said to you just before we began recording, you have frozen on my screen, but I think that doesn't
That's
matter.
okay.
Um, we'll just, yeah, when I saw Rochelle was injured on Sunday afternoon against North Melbourne and saw the sample stats and Lockie Murphy had 27 disposals, I thought, oh, this is a lock, he'll be in. And people sort of convinced me otherwise throughout the week. And I'll have to say, I didn't agree with the selection. I'm just not surprised that it was made. So that was sort of where I stood on it. But yeah, when the news came through at 5:50 p.m. on Thursday, I was not shocked.
No, I wasn't at all. And look, for context, I'd just flown into Melbourne. I had a very quick work trip, and I got to the hotel just as the teams dropped. And looking at the Patreons chat and just seeing the just collectivization of just, confusion, anger, rage, and then on Twitter and Instagram as well, especially Twitter, honestly, absolute raging about that selection. But look, we'll get to the individuals in a little bit, but let's just knock out the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the umpire. Now, I don't think it wasn't just that last decision, and for context, there was the Isaac Rankin. It was either infringing on the mark, pushing the back, you name it. I feel like in the first quarter, it was one of the first inside 50s I think Gold Coast had
We're
was
about two
basically,
minutes in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
was it,
like it was their
yeah,
first goal.
yeah. Tell me a little bit. Was it a free that was supposed to go to Hinge or was supposed to go to another player or something? I think.
Nah, so I'm assuming you're talking about the Matt Rao
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So Gold Coast won a free at about 60 metres out or so.
Mm.
The ball got kicked in and the umpire said, no, no, bring that back. I was like, oh, okay. And then the ball came back to, I believe the Gold Coast player was Butterick. And
Yep.
instead of passing the ball to Matt Rao, he just ran and played on. Now, that's not advantage because you called the game back. And if you wanted to pay advantage, you have to let it go from where you kick it into the 50. It's not you can just have it back and we'll pick whatever spot on the ground we want to run from. So he called play on, not advantage. And you can't call play on in that instant because Matt Rao never actually touched the ball when it was supposed to come back to him. So that was just an incorrect ruling. I don't know whether that umpire just forgot that rule or not, but that's the only reason I can sort of think of, because that should have been pulled back. And when they took play on and kicked it into the 50, our defence was all out of whack too.
Exactly. And look, I'm going to call it out because I've gone through and I had a look at the times that I've searched this guy. The umpire, Andrew Stevens, number 12. There's been games previously where this guy's been on, and I just think to myself, what are you doing, man? And 29, I think, was Heffernan, too. They're two umpires that I've just seen, and I've seen their performance. Tell me why you need four umpires.
Well, my biggest issue with
Right.
this was raised to me this morning by a good Patreon of ours, Mitch, who was at the game
Mhm.
on Saturday afternoon, good Queenslander, and he said
Definitely is.
that, and he's been part of umpiring fraternities in the past, I understand, in particular Queensland umpiring, and
Mhm.
he told me, or he said it in the chat, that umpires are not selected even though they're better at decisions because they can't bounce the ball as well as the ones that do get selected. Now, how is that? Like, because apparently the bouncing is considered one of the most important skills, which personally I don't understand at all, because every AFL fan just wants the ball thrown up and get it on with, because the amount of times you see them, oh, let's have that ball back,
Yep.
then we do it again, and then we're just going to throw it up anyway, and we actually don't get anywhere different to what we would have. I personally would say, someone said today once per quarter, which I don't mind, but how about once per game to start things off and then just throw it up? Because, and I guarantee
Okay.
you, no one would care, or no one would even notice the difference by, if you brought it in that first game of the season, say Carlton v Richmond, by the Sunday afternoon game, would anyone notice?
No,
Like,
absolutely not.
if we're selecting umpires off other umpires, even though they're worse at decision making and consistently show that, but we're selecting them because they can bounce a ball a bit better than one of the other ones, then that's just a joke to me.
And this is something I think Razor Ray, he didn't get selected for one of
Yeah,
the final series or grand
yeah.
final purely for the fact that he can't bounce. I've seen a lot of people give hate to Ray Chamberlain as an umpire. I never really noticed that he was crap.
I thought he
I
was
don't,
okay. He just had an
yeah,
ability to assert himself into the game, maybe more so than
correct.
other umpires, which rubbed people the wrong way from time to time if it went against them. But I thought he was a good
So,
explainer of decisions.
yeah, exactly. And look, he's the only umpire I think that had a media deal. So I think
Yeah,
he
he
had
was on SEN every week.
that's right. And look, I heard KG Cunningham on the Sunday roast with the friend of the pod, Sam Tugwell, as well on 5AA, going off his head today about the fact that there's four umpires. And he makes a great point. What has it given? What advantage has it given to the game compared to three? Has there still been stuff ups? Yes. Are there going to be stuff ups? Absolutely. I'm not disputing
That's human
that.
error, yeah.
That's human error. That's a part of what happens. Heck, we had a goal umpire in the Crows North Melbourne game where Fogg, doinked the goalpost, and it was a fair doink
Yeah.
and didn't get picked up. Pardon the French, shit happens, okay? But this is just getting more and more egregious, and the fact that we've had another apology on a Sunday morning makes sweet FA. It just
That's
doesn't change anything.
that's what Rory Sloane actually said this morning on the Sunday Footy Show, and I found his point of view on it quite interesting, because
Hmm.
he was in the four walls less than a year ago, and so if he thinks that, they're no doubt thinking that inside the four walls. This is not just Rory Sloane out on his own.
Hmm.
And the thing that I keep coming back to is the amount of times this has happened, and this is not a once off, it's a trend. And to me, until we say something, this will continue to happen and continue to happen. And Eddie Maguire, there's a clip from I watched about a year ago, and people will have their say about Eddie Maguire, and some people like him, some people don't. That's fine. But what he is passionate. And he said
Mhm.
that if what he was talking in this instance about the Sydney debacle, and he said if that happened to Collingwood, there would have been complete uproar. This would not have been
Yep.
a Sunday morning press conference or whatever it was that we decided. And Do you reckon this would have continued to happen if Eddie was the president and Mick Malthouse was the coach of Collingwood? I don't.
No.
Like,
And being in, this is going to sound a bit weird, but I can understand how Melbourne lives in almost a biodome of itself. Like what happened to the Crows in 2023, I don't think they had an appreciation for how hurt we were, right? Because who was the other team? It was a non-Victorian team, right? Okay, South Melbourne,
they're
but
about as
it was
close to Victorian as you can get, but they are.
correct, but it wasn't, like it
It's not
affected.
Collingwood, yeah.
Correct. Two, I think it was more of Gil McLachlan comes out with his bloody broken arm for that press conference, which still cracks me up to this day because I'm sure he's like on painkillers or something. He's just like, oh, for fuck's, like, I'm trying to change this over
He's
to
sitting
Gil.
there on that Saturday night going, oh,
Yeah.
for fuck's sake.
he sees a result. And look, three, I think to a certain extent, it didn't help too much that there was not enough of a media push. Like, I'm saying this in hindsight, we don't have as much gravitas compared to, say, like SEN doesn't have as much of a stronghold in Adelaide as it does in Melbourne, obviously.
No, they have a couple of drive shows and maybe a brekkie show, but they're not publicised like David King
Correct.
and Kane Corns
Yeah,
are.
exactly. Yeah. And I feel like the one where it really stuck to them was the Sam Draper falling on the ball against Essendon. It was in prime time. It was a second game of the year. I think it was from memory a Thursday or Friday night game.
Friday night game, yeah.
Yeah, Friday night game. And I think there was much more of just more eyes on it, and I think that opened things up. And look, before I ask you, Lachie, for your input, I'm going to read something that a friend of the pod, and he ran in the most recent election, Matt Parbs. He said something great as a comment, and because I'm friends with them on Facebook, it popped up. This was on, I think, 7AFL put up a post about the fact that the AFL have said it should have been a free kick, that last decision against Isaac Ranger, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
Matt Parbs says, now ask the question, why this keeps happening to Crows? Draper lays on the ball. Keys non-goal, and Dawson hit in the face against Collingwood, which if you remember last year against Collingwood, he got whacked in the face in the dying seconds.
That was 2023. Last year was the one where Rankin apparently ran
23. Yep.
Too far.
Rankin ran too far. Now this, if it was a once-off, okay, but this happens too frequently against Adelaide. That's what needs to be explained. The why. I couldn't agree more with him. This just seems like a trend. Now, could you say...
That's what I keep coming back to, that comment exactly. This is not a once-off, this is a trend. Mitch Cleary said today it's 4 times in 37 games. Like, that is far too much. Like, so what's that? Like, I don't know, 4 times every, 9 games?
Once in every 9 games.
Yeah, once in every 9 games. So, like, I don't know.
God, that puts it into context even worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. Like, it does, because this is... So, and we play, 23 games. So it's happening at least twice a year. So, and, yeah. This is costing... The thing I have to say was I am disappointed in Nixie to an extent with these press conferences. I want him to make a stand, and I know he's got his hands tied to a point because... there's only so much he can say, but this is going to cost him his job. He knows that at the end of this year, if we don't make finals, he's out. And if we miss by a game again, like we might have we've probably got other issues happening throughout the year, but it could come back to this. And so I don't understand how he's not more frustrated, unless he's just a lot better at controlling his emotions than we all think. But yeah, that's my only comment on him regarding
Maybe
that.
he's just too zen.
He could be.
Like, I could see him raking a little sand garden in the middle of his courtyard in his house or something, and just, little hand symbols, that sort of thing, just being so zen with everything. And then he
Yeah,
goes outside and yells at the garbage man or something. I don't know. But
yeah. Well,
uh,
but like I said after the Rankin one,
mm,
it was, I think, I said, until we say something, nothing changes because the AFL are probably
mm,
sitting there going, "Oh, it's just the Crows. We'll bring them up on Sunday morning. They'll be right. They'll move on." But I don't think we've ever like we had to issue that press conference with Tim Silvers after the Sydney one. That was just going to have to happen. But we've never released a statement on it like we did this time. So I'm pleased with that.
mm.
I think the Crows have gone, no, this is enough now. Like, you've gone too far.
And this is where the, James Donald Force McCann, who was on our pod, leading off with his absolute rant about why are so many of the AFL, so why are so many of our board members AFL appointed? This is where the control issue becomes a problem because honestly, okay, shout out to James. He has Shane Gillis, like probably the world's most popular comedian right now, wearing a bloody Go Crom
Pretty
hat,
funny.
right? And on top of that, he was watching the game doing a really great Aussie accent. Okay. I have like all of the ESPN Arkansas crew messaging me saying, how the hell have you managed that? Right. Answer is don't know. Right. But all I'm saying is he's now a person who is engaged with the game. He's just watched the game just then where the umps have screwed us. Is he going to be wanting to be more engaged with the game? Is the casual person going to be more engaged with the game? Short answer is no.
No.
And I want to blame him. I want to blame anyone because it's
No.
confusing.
It is, and like when blatant decisions like that are being missed, then what hope do you have? And people will say, and I've seen it today a couple of times, people saying, "Oh, it's just poor old Adelaide. Do you want to have another sook about the umpires? How about you win the game beforehand?" But it's like this is not. It's not like this has just happened and every other game we've just
Correct.
lost. Like this is more than once. This is more, and these are. And they were saying on the Sunday Footy Show today that they didn't think it was a howler. I disagree with that. I think it was a howler.
Yeah.
So how many times does this have to happen before something changes?
Yeah. I mean, there were let's be fundamentally clear. There were howlers to both sides. Mark King
Yeah,
got away with
he chucked it.
throw of the century.
It
Okay.
was he might as well have gone and signed up for the Brisbane Broncos while he was there because that was a
Exactly.
rugby pass.
It was a Gold Coast Titans. Here he comes, like
Yeah,
just across the road. Like it was just insane. And you think to yourself, how do you get away with that? Like I'm not trying to be completely biased towards the Crows because the umpiring was just crap.
it was. And I've seen, I just, before we started recording, I just watched the Fremantle and Western Bulldogs game in
Mm,
Perth, and Fremantle won the game, and quite, I don't know, 3 or 4 goals in the end, I think it was.
mm.
And the Fremantle fans are booing the umpires off the ground, and they've won the game. So imagine if they've lost and it goes again. So this is the problem. Like, this is a league-wide issue. Too many games are being decided by umpiring decisions, and too
Yeah,
many times we have to, as footy fans, sit there on a Monday morning and go, "Oh, well, did you see the game that the umpires had this big say in over the weekend?" I keep going back to the one last year, which didn't involve the Crows. It involved Collingwood and Fremantle in Perth. Lachie Sullivan's on the ground.
oh
He's
yes.
being tackled. He flicks the ball up to Nick Dacos to pass the ball to the umpire, which would have been about 10 times quicker. And the umpire pings a free kick against him and says, delay of game. That game ends up being a draw. And
Oh,
Fremantle
that's right.
missed the 8 by about percentage in a game, I think. And Collingwood missed by percentage. Like, this is costing people jobs. This is costing people.
Exactly. That's a
Like,
great point.
it's not just like, yeah,
And I want to be clear. We've brought up some of the past. That Sydney goal umpire, that thing. One, I've been on the record, and it was straight after that game too. My thoughts were actually with that goal umpire. It wasn't so much the fact that he missed a howler. That was a howl. Okay,
yeah,
full stop. But he stuffed up once, right? The fact that there wasn't a way to be able to do a replay or something, if one of the field umpires was just like, I don't think that was, you know what I mean? There was nothing in place whatsoever. I think that was the part that personally pissed me off. And the fact that that umpire that goal umpire. I don't think he's in the AFL anymore. I can't.
He is not, I
He is
believe.
not. I still say it. My thoughts are with him. And any Crows fan that gives him any death threats or anything else like that should have their membership cancelled immediately. Like, he shouldn't have to cop that. But I have a different view with field umpires, because with our umpires, they have to make more decisions than any other umpire, I think, in probably any other league ever, like on the fly. There's interpretations that happen every week. And on top of that, they've got to be like elite, like marathon runners,
Oh.
have to be able to hoik a ball, like, X amount. I'm talking like the boundary runners, and the ones in the middle, they've got to bounce a, oblong, ball straight up. And that's their one thing that keeps them in the game or not. Like, how stupid. Like, what is
Like,
that?
yeah, that's the part that I'm really struggling with. Like, you can't you can't get a game even if your decision making is
Yep.
perfect because you can't bounce the ball in the middle. Like, I mean, seriously, just pick one umpire to bounce the ball. If it's like, of the four umpires that get selected, which, as you've said, is its own issue.
Yeah,
Just pick one that can bounce the ball and let three others make the decisions, and just have the one in the center of the ground. Because,
exactly.
and how many times, just on that four umpires thing, you watch a game of footy, how many times is the decision paid? I didn't listen to 5AA this morning, so I don't know if this was brought up. But how many times are you watching a game and the commentators will go, "Oh, actually, the umpire in the non-controlling umpire paid that decision." Like,
Mhm.
so how many umpires? Like, do we want 15 umpires and go, "Oh, yeah, the one from 150 meters away in the opposite forward pocket paid that"? Like,
Yeah,
really? Like,
I agree completely. Like, look, I would rather one or two umpires, because, to be perfectly honest, there's going to be less. Like, if you get four people of anything for anywhere, you're going to get four different opinions. You know what I
mm.
mean? If you're going to get two, at least there's going to be, if it's yin and yang, okay, but at the same time, that's just two people, okay? Like, I would rather two than four. I'd rather three than four.
I think
Now, but
three's about right.
yeah, just watch next year. They're going to go to five. Just like, I can guarantee. But apparently, umpiring's never been better.
Oh, see, that's just taking the fans for a ride if you'll ever like hear it. Like, honestly, like, that is just an absolute joke of a comment. Like,
Taking the old P155. Now,
oh, absolutely.
how about, look, we could go on about umpires, and we will get to the voicemails in a second, because I can guarantee you, I think there's a theme. That's all I'll say. But
Yeah.
let's get to some of our best ons, mate. Look, I'm just looking through here, and I want to say as well, I listened back to the Triple M call of the fourth quarter. There was some talk about Isaac Rankin with his calf. So I get the feeling, I'm just putting it out there, he may miss this week. Wouldn't surprise me.
I understand it was just sore, but it might have just been a knock, and it was one of those ones
Yeah,
where they could probably strap it up.
yeah. My calls on players being out, have always been wildly inaccurate. So take it with
Although
not
you
just a
are the
grain of
medical
salt.
professional here, so maybe we'll back you in.
Look, I did say that Lachie Murphy may never play again after Showdown 2022 with his
You
Oscar-winning
did, yeah.
performance. It convinced me as well. So, look, let's get to some of our best ons, my man. Who did you have? Just to give some shout outs to some amazing performance. We have to talk about Meat Bus, don't we, Lachie?
Oh, well, that was unbelievable, and I mean, the league is in good hands. As I said, I just finished watching the Bulldogs game, and Sam Darcy's clunking him everywhere for the Bulldogs, and like, those two are just going to carry the league forward. But I thought he was outstanding. Like, his radar was off early with his two behinds in a row, and after that he kicked five straight. So, um, and
Mm,
the one of the things that impressed me the most about his game was the third quarter. They started getting on top of us a little bit, and I thought it was great coaching by Nix to throw him into the ruck, and he won a lot of centre clearance. He got
oh,
a lot
yeah.
of handballs out to feed the runners, and we went on a bit of a run ourselves. So I thought he was our best, if not our best. And the only other one in contention with him, which I thought was his best, and Nixie said his best game was against the Roos. I'm going to say that his best game was yesterday, was James Peatling. He was
Yeah,
unbelievable. He
absolutely.
curbed Matt Rouse influence, 24 disposals, one goal, six tackles. Like, he did it all, really. And 18 of those 24 disposals being kicks was very impressive as well. He's a star.
Yeah. And 10 inside 50s as well.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
our new Tom Lynch,
He
just
was
younger.
super, I
Yeah,
thought.
and we have to go back to Filthy as well. The engorged meat bus himself was getting very angry with Mac Andrew after the game.
Jack
Looking a bit.
Riewoldt had, believe it or not, I thought the most accurate comment on that after the game. And Jack Riewoldt, obviously being a former Damien Hardwick player, said Damien Hardwick would not be happy with that. He thought it was classless, and that just you don't need to be doing that. You've just won by 1 point. Get off, like, just shake his hand, get off the ground, and
Yeah,
celebrate with your teammates. Like, you don't need to absolutely throw it down his
yeah,
face,
stick
because
it to him. Yeah.
all it's done is we played Gold Coast in round 19 at Adelaide Oval, so he's just put a target on his own back. Like it's
Mm.
just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, look, I did hear in the Triple M call, I think it was Tom Rockcliffe who said that he thinks that Meat Bus got a shoe to the face from Mac Andrew. Like, is
He did,
he
yeah.
yeah, with Mac Andrew's foot inside. Like, it wasn't just like he got
Yeah,
slapped
he
by his.
didn't just grab a shoe and go
Yeah,
whack.
yeah, whack. Yeah, yeah. Hope not. Tex with his usual 4 goals won. If we want to talk about missed opportunities, I think it was about 8 or 9 minutes left. He had
Yeah.
that chance in front of goal, sort of tried to do the turn back the clock thing. It didn't work.
He had another moment sort of halfway through or maybe towards the end of the third quarter, which he probably would have liked back as well. But I feel like that might happen from time to time with him. People are starting to talk about when he will be rested. I believe he said on Channel 9 tonight that he will be playing this Thursday night. I personally am looking at round 7. We play Fremantle in Perth off of a
Oh yeah,
6-day break on a Friday
yep,
night. So I reckon you can
definitely.
pencil that one as him not making the trip to WA. But
Correct.
again, could be wrong. But yeah, that would be my guess at this stage. But from the others, I thought Dawson just did his thing. Saligo, much the same. Hinge, again, the same. It was very, very much a consistency piece. I thought Neil Bullen was quite good in the third quarter and showed sort of
Yes.
why we recruited him. Curtin was he didn't have a lot of the footy, but I thought whenever he touched the ball, he was quite, what's the word, smart and clever with it.
Mm.
He doesn't waste possession, and even Nankervis only had the 1 quarter, but I thought his cameo was quite
Yeah, it was very
impressive.
good. Very, very good. That Taylor Walker running goal it was about
Oh, yeah, that
55.
was
Oh.
impressive. Yeah, so there you go, right there. So you get the one of him trying to dance around 6
Yeah,
players,
exactly.
and then 2 minutes earlier you can get one of him smacking it through from 55. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, incredible.
And we almost got the record as well for the most quarters won
Yeah,
as well. So close. So we've matched it with the Eagles from 1988 with 12 consecutive quarters won. We lost the first quarter by 7. So,
well, can't win every
oh
quarter.
well, who cares?
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
let's go.
on that, actually no, we'll probably get to it, but I just wanted to talk about Darren Burgess in the way we've won those quarters, but I'm sure we'll get to that
Mhm.
later on.
Oh, we will, because like I said, the Darren Burgess effect. We'll get to that
Yeah,
very
I
soon, my
know.
boy. Now, let's get to some voicemails. So at any time, like even now, if you want to call us and give us some abuse, you can call us on 088 246 5498. If you're calling internationally, put +61 at the start too, and we will not pay for the phone call. So we've got 4 voicemails. We play them all as a part of our pre-roll, and we have deemed them all needing to be in. And I think there's a common theme here. Let's see if you can pick it up.
Rankin marked that. Bullshit. Fucking Collins is his weak and Meatbusters threw him out of the way in a fair contest. Bullshit. Right in front of me. Crows were robbed. Bullshit.
And thank you
Standard.
to one of our board members there for that one. No, I'm kidding. That's not one of our board. Voicemail 2.
Is robbed.
The umpires need glasses. This is so unfair.
You remember the year when OPSM sponsored them?
Oh, that was
So,
just setting yourself up.
Yeah,
like, if you ever see it.
Exactly. All right, third one.
That was a fucking mark. Pay the fucking mark for once. Leave us alone. Stop bullying the shit out of us, AFL. It is a load of shit. We do not deserve this. Fuck everything.
I like
Fuck
number
everything.
3. That's a pick so far.
That's amazing. I just love the fuck everything.
Yeah,
like
just
it's just
fuck
like,
everything.
You fuck everything. Lube up, fuck everything. Here we go, number 4.
The Crows were robbed right in front of me. Right in front of me. Right.
Dude, that could be a remix at a nightclub. That the end part of that.
I just love the fact that someone's just like, we need to call them. Hang on, let me get the iPad. Play
Just sit it right next to it.
Doing it cream style. There you go. Now, let's get to some of the comments from our amazing listeners as well. I'm going to, if you can, Lachie, if you could just look on Facebook at some of the comments on that post, because I'm going to get to the Instagram stories because we had a lot. Now, first one I'm going to get to. Look, the conspiracy angle is the one that I like, and I like getting it from, as an Italian Australian myself, fellow Italian Australian listeners who may say, for example, George Carofano has written, AFL really are corrupt. They proved it today uncategorically. The one thing Italians love is a good conspiracy, so I can tell you there's a few of them. James Izzo as well. We've got a theme here. How many more times do we need the AFL to come out and say they got it wrong? So, we got a friend of the pod and a Patreon, Alexander Barnett. It's written in a bunch of, how can I put it? Maybe a county in England. F Dimmer. F the Suns. Okay. Now, the Dimmer Dookie, that was sizzling at one point. That was ready to pop.
Oh, he's back in Adelaide this week. Just remember that.
Yeah, keep an eye on the sewerage. Paddy Mellon has said, absolute rubbish. Umpires ruining the season again. There is a theme here. Caleb finally with some footy analysis. Gold Coast Ruckman hurt us in the first half. He was best on in the first half. O'Brien had no answers.
That's about right, yep.
Saligo's so-called dangerous tackle that gifted Gold Coast a goal hurt the most. That was a joke.
That I totally agree. He should be fined for staging that player. He threw himself into the ground and he's double the size of Saligo.
Thank you, Caleb, for that one. Prune Masters, aka D-Hops, written in top 5 Crom robberies of all time. That's saying something. Oh, God.
Geez, we could make a serious list, couldn't we?
We really could. I mean, look, sometimes we've sort of screwed it for ourselves, but, most of the time it's someone else's fault. Look, Alexandra, who helps with our socials, she's written a bunch of words, and then she said, I have no words, I am effing, and then, even more. Luke Smith, the umpire that called play on after the mark should be put to a royal commission. Umpires are more blind than me. I'm legally blind, says Ella. Now, I want to give a shout out to the amazing ladies that were seen right at the end.
Yeah.
We have found them. That's not a joke. I put the shout out on Instagram. Finally got to know them as well, and they wrote into us. So we're sending them some merch. A shout out to Emily, Riley, and Rhiannon as well. And I want to give a special shout out as well to who is it? Greta May at GretaMay.tattoos, who did the digging there. So we're going to get Greta on the pod soon, and we're sending those lovely ladies some merch too. So thank you so much, especially to Rhiannon, who did the full wog hand as well. It was like a Sam Newman, like, the fuck is this? It was really, I'm just going right near the hand right there. It was amazing. So now, we got to Cromchad, aka Connor, who said, "Someone give me all the umpires addies so I can poo on their doorsteps." Robbed. Okay, right. Okay, that's a lot of poo.
I'm just going to say you might want to take some laxatives or something to.
Yeah, you might need a bulk up first and
Yeah.
then let the brown rain go. David Train, Crom good, AFL umpires bad. Right in front of me. Okay. Now, Simon, with the feeling that I felt, F this sport.
I just fuck this. Yeah.
Yeah. Sazi absolutely robbed. Rankin should have been given the mark. Yep. Oh, Alex Organ. I assume that's the last name. My dead grandma could ref better than that. But
Ref.
Greta May has written in, "I'm going to riot." Rachel Parsons effed. It was a mark and free kick. Absolute BS. Mickey Harding, that was a clear mark. Oh my lord, heart rate was 101 for a solid 6 minutes. Only 101. That's pretty good, Mickey. Okay. That's not too bad.
We've got some ones from Facebook here as well.
Hit me.
Unless you've still got more on Instagram.
I've got 2 more, I reckon, but you go.
Okay, well, I'll start off. I've just got it on most relevant because there are 31 comments, so I won't read all of them. But
That's okay.
the first one I feel I have to read because it has the most reactions, but I can't really read it. It's just a photo of umpires, and it says Suns pose for team photo. Julie has written, "Can you imagine all the ex-football player commentators accepting this crap when they were playing? The free count bias, the umpiring decisions of the last couple of minutes of the game. They would all have been screaming like sooks, but barely utter a word in the media. After all, it wasn't a Victorian team, was it?" Flagalade has written, "I wouldn't even call that a loss. The game of football is the only real loser here after what could only be described as one of the worst officiated games of all time. I feel like we won the game if you take away the gifted goals, momentum, etc. We win the game by 5 goals. We delivered, the Suns didn't."
Yeah.
Dale Neal, "Filthy is about to be one of the best key forwards in the game. Destroyed Collins and Andrew, who is not worth the big money that he is on. Big game next to start gather round." Peter, "That was an absolutely disgraceful display of umpiring. The Crows were crucified all day by poor decisions. If it was a split 50-50 decisions, then Gold Coast always got the decision. The Gold Coast player played on the goal square and Isaac Rankin should have been paid a mark and then a free kick in the last 5 minutes. The commentators agree. The umpires were playing homegrown decisions. One of the worst umpiring displays I've witnessed." Shane Turner has written quite a weird comment. "It's always a good week when either the Crows or Dockers lose." This is quite a random. Yellow Maggots from Matt's. Andy Edwards has summed it up quite well. "Well, I do not need to complain because everyone is posting exactly what I was thinking." Samantha has gone with, "How much did Gold Coast pay the umpires?"
Well, they're both paid by the AFL, so...
Bernadette, "Wasn't a loss. We all know that was a mark or a free. The umpires ensured a loss, but we all know it was a win at the very least, a draw if Rankin missed. The Crows won in my eyes. The biased AFL umpires can F off." That's about what we've got from Facebook.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
I quite like the one of, "I don't need to say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone else is doing it for me." Maybe we should have uploaded a pod and just said, "Just check the internet."
Yeah, copy paste. Like it's just yeah. Let's. So I've got a couple here. So Rihanna Ewing, friend of the pod on Patreon, has said, if all Murph has in one good quarter, surely he'd be better as a sub. Nank was great. Yes.
Yeah,
we agree. Tracy Loveridge, dis effing graceful. Stop getting these bloody umpires off of Temu. I feel like the umpires off of Temu, the sea shipping wouldn't do them well.
that might be programmed better.
Yeah, true. And if I look on Twitter, we had a few replies on Twitter. Tyson has written, "We lost. Let's move on to next week." I want to talk about this. I get as the playing group, as a cohort, it's their
They
job
need to
to
move on. The players and coaches and officials need to move on. The fans have every right to be as angry as we do until probably Wednesday.
I would say not so much the officials.
Oh, when I say
like-
officials, I mean club,
the
like
player.
the coaching and club
Yeah.
stuff, like maybe the medical team and all of that.
Yeah, Darren
Not so
Burgess
much
is very
CEO.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but yeah, I think the apathy pigeon has flown. Madeline Irwin, I'm ropeable. That was an interesting display by the umpires. Yeah, Brad 182. Cue the robbed and right in front of me memes. Couldn't agree more. And finally, and I'll just touch on this one very quick because we had the actual post as well, just on Insta. Alicia Crompton, 2 free kicks and a half of footy versus 11 pretty much sums it up, actually. What else we got? ANGUYNEY. It took the most horrific umpiring to beat us by 1 point. As shit as this is, we're going places this year. Filthy and Peatling are insane. To which I replied, stop being level-headed and reasonable. But, yeah, this is going to be a running theme, but let's be clear here. We as a club have, this year, all of our losses, and the margin is 1 point. 1 point. That's it. How much have Port lost by this year?
Well, they got beaten this afternoon. So, one thing I will say in terms of, I guess, a positivity aspect was we were coming into gather round in 2023 at 2-2. We were coming in to gather round in 2024 at 0-3. So, and subsequently went 0-4 after the Melbourne game. So we are in a much, much, much better position than we were 12 months ago. It's just so frustrating because imagine the vibe of the city. The Crows are 4-0, kick-off gather round. The stadium, it probably will be anyway, and this might actually make it even more up and about. But the stadium would have been pumping on Thursday night, and I actually think it will be now because of what's gone on. But yeah,
absolute hump fest, consensually. Now, let's get to the SANFL results, my man, because we did beat North Adelaide, and we did well there. So I'm really enjoying the way AFC media and comms are putting out their news because it's a 29-point win for Adelaide's State League side. Okay, we don't say SANFL because that's poo-poo. But did you see any part of this game?
Look, to be honest, no, because probably the first 2.5, maybe 3 quarters were on when the AFL was on, and then I was a bit disassociated with sport itself after what went on. But I did have a bit of a look at the stats, and seems a few of them did quite well.
Correct. Burgess with 5, reminding us of his existence.
Yeah.
Look,
Thought
it's
Billy.
good to have a reserve side that wins.
It is.
Compared to another team that we know.
Yeah. Billy Dowling, 26 disposals and a goal, continuing to further press his claims for selection. Luke Pedler, 20 disposals and a goal. I thought that's pretty good. That's about what you'd want from him. Top-up player Blake Drury had 19 disposals and a goal, still vying for a spot and may very well get one in the mid-season draft with Kieran Straw. I don't know how that works if we took McAndrew. I don't know, unless we have another injury.
Yeah, good question.
Anyway,
we're not hoping for that.
No, we're not. Zach Taylor, 18 disposals and 2 goals. Braden Cook, 17 and a goal. Jordan Butts, 15 disposals, although you don't really pay much attention to key defender stat lines unless they sort of have a lot of marks. But one I did want to talk about, and I've seen his name about today because O'Brien didn't have a great game yesterday, and I have to say I was very impressed with him over the pre-season, was Lachie McAndrew, 21 disposals from him. I thought it's about as complete a game from a ruckman as you'll get.
Agreed.
It won't show me because the sample app is not the greatest thing I've ever seen, all of the stats, but he did have 9 clearances. He won 3 free kicks, so that's always helpful. 5 tackles, 6 marks, and that's about all it'll show me. But that's a pretty good game, but I personally don't think that he's coming in for O'Brien this week. Seems to be they'll need... I know they've dropped O'Brien in the past off of worse performances, but as I said today, that is often off of a trend, not a once sort of off, and he didn't play that great against the Kangaroos, he sort of broke even against the Bombers, but they sort of like to do a run of form, which I completely understand. I don't know if you agree, but I'd be quite surprised if he's in the side this Thursday night.
As in O'Brien being inside?
As if I'll be surprised if McAndrew is in the squad this Thursday night.
I agree. I completely agree. I think you've also got the second option of, Filthy being able to ruck too, which he did very well. So I think you've got enough relief there. I think Rob will respond, much to everyone's chagrin.
Up against a much easier opponent this week too. Jared Witts is one of the better ruckmen of the competition, very consistent. Reece Stanley sort of just played his first game of the year on Friday night, so still easing his way through. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's get to some of the news, mate. Now,
yes, it's been
we've got a big one to start off with some big shoes to fill. And I assume because he was a former ruckman, he probably just has big feet. But Matty Clark is going to be leaving his post as the AFL women's coach for the Crows at the end of the upcoming season. He's been a part of the coaching side of things for quite a while now. He's definitely had some success as well. Took the reins since 2018 from memory, and
he took over from Beck Goddard, didn't he? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And look, he leaves a massive hole to fill, and I think anyone that's able to, take over the reins of a premiership winning side and win another 2 and always be in contention every single year has done a hell of a job. Now, regardless of the talent pool we've been able to accumulate, essentially, I think it takes a lot to steady as they go. You know what I mean? I think I'm a massive fan of the way Doc's been able to conduct himself as a coach on and off the field. And, I don't know what to say, really. I feel like this news, I think, it got some gravity to it. Until the main Crows socials dropped some news on a new collab that they did. But I feel like it got buried a little bit, unfortunately. And I'm really sad, honestly.
Yeah, well, I've always thought he's a great coach. And I remember around the time of when Nixie won the job for the men's side, there were some people saying maybe we give it to Doc Clark 1 year into the job. At that stage he was, I believe. And he'd already won a premiership. He'd been assistant with the men's program for a long, long time as the Rucks coach as well. So, and it's quite clear to see that the players in the AFLW setup have a lot of love for him. That's, to me, quite evident. And I agree. I think it's going to be a massive loss. Is it just clarify? Is he doing this coming season, or is he done as of now?
It says at the end of the coming AFL women's season.
Okay, so it's kind of like our poor friends down the road in a way.
I wonder if there's going to be a transition plan in place.
But it'd be great to send him off with a premiership, because he certainly deserves it.
Absolutely. And I know Damon way back when interviewed him for the pod, and hopefully we'll have him on again. Well, that's when Damon remembered to press record. But he had Matthew Clark as an interview, and it was a great interview too. So I'm really, really a huge fan of him, and yeah, I was there for his AFC Life membership speech. He spoke very proudly from the heart about that, and yeah, huge raps for him, and good luck with whatever happens in the future for him.
Will always be a 2-time premiership coach for the women's program. So yeah, no one else at the club has that. So
That's true.
it's
Maybe 3 coming up for this
Hopefully.
year. Who knows? Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Now, injury news. Lachie, we crossed you in the emergency department. We've got Matty Crouch going to be out for a little while. What's happened there, boss?
Well, I actually think he'll be back this Thursday. It was reported as a rest / he had a sore hip. Now, you being our resident medical expert, what's a hip flexor looking like?
It's somewhere around the hip region. Back to you, Lachie.
Okay, so that's and what's the time frame looking like on that one?
Well,
Does
let's
it
just
depend
hope
how
it's
bad
not.
it is?
Hope it's not the same as his brother's osteitis pubis in 2018.
Oh,
that
God.
took a little while.
I
to
think he
sort itself
Hurt
out.
himself getting out of bed every morning. That
Well, yeah, you roll around. You got to flex something to get out of bed, ain't that right?
Yeah, well, so he had a rest / sore hip, so I think they sort of used it as just do it all in the one. So hopefully he's back this Thursday. Nick Murray unless he makes an insane recovery, which I saw someone say he might, which I'd highly doubt it because he was listed as 2 weeks before the Gold Coast game, and again a short turnaround. He's probably going to miss this Geelong game, but then after this we have I understand if I'm right, we have a 9-day break before GWS. So I reckon you can just about pencil him in for that one. Rochelle's still probably 5-6 weeks away. Carl Gallagher will be back with the Samford boys this week too, and that's
the Rochelle one. Look, when that happened, I think I messaged immediately in the Patreon chat. I was like, "That's going to be up to 6 weeks," just because you don't know where the fractures are, length, internal injuries, that sort of thing, and with all the Petrarca stuff that's happened previously,
that.
better be safe. And given it was Rory Laird's milestone game, and for Rochelle to get injured, a bit ironic. But
I have to say about that, I thought I was listening to that game on the Channel 7 broadcast, and I know we've discussed it, but I thought it was quite poor and tone deaf from Nick Rewalt, and I think it was BT on that game. And I was like, did you see Petrarca in June last year? This is an injury of a similar spot, and they were whinging about him taking time to get off the ground. And further to the point, doubled down on the comments at halftime, and even further on the Monday night talk show that Channel 7 run. Really?
Look, I can think the only time I've ever thought to myself, how the hell is this taking too long for him to get off, was I think it was...
Oh, my God, Paul Seedsman down the race.
Oh,
my God.
That was right when we started, I think, because...
I reckon it was the first year of the pod, yeah.
Yeah, because all I remember was the guy in the cart just couldn't understand the angle. You've got a bit of a turning circle. You got to swing it around, and he's just trying to pretend like he's driving like a bloody Holden Barina, like he's just going to crack a left, and he just gets it wedged, and he's got a player who's in traction,
and everyone's sitting there in the crowd going, just go down the other race.
Exactly. And I think it was 2 minutes left, and I think Geelong were up by a fair margin.
I reckon they would have been 4 goals up or so, yeah.
Yeah. That cracked me up. But with Rochelle, that was the classic, when you get hit to the ribs, especially that deep, and you've got a bit of blood that goes into the pleural space, etc., it's hard to breathe deep, and those accessory muscles there as well freeze up. So you can't actually inflate most of your lung on that side.
So were you surprised he ran off the ground and ran down the race?
Yeah. I was actually surprised he was able to move. You wouldn't usually be able to see, the fact that he was walking, I was just like, well, he's going to be in a shit ton of pain, honestly. And you could tell on his face, it was like a 4 or 5 steps. Okay, oh my God, bit of shock happens. And this is not he needs to harden up. This is a classic
You can't
shock.
see that injury. Like,
Yeah, it's a classic shock response that anyone would have no matter what. If you got a punch in the guts and you're a boxer, you would have this sort of reaction if you had broken ribs. Like, there's no way to quantify it. So, to the Channel 7 people, you're very ignorant. That's a polite way of putting it. Now, Toby Murray signs on for 2 years.
yeah, good reward. Seems to be progressing okay from what
Absolutely.
I've seen. Yeah, doing his thing.
Doing his thing. That's what we love. Now, Brody Smith has hit a target. Him and his lovely wife are expecting a child very soon. So,
Good on
Lachie,
him.
your thoughts on Brody Smith?
Oh, well, he's been a very good servant for the club over a long period of time, and a couple of All-Australian jackets will prove that up. But, yeah, his time in the AFL, I dare say, is up. But he's got a role to fill with the Sample boys at the moment.
Well played. And finally, Darcy Fogarty, beautiful man, has gotten himself a tattoo. Did you see this? This has only just come out.
I did, yeah. This is state pride. And the thing I liked about that the most was that the Channel 7 interview after the Saints Port game was Jack Higgins. And he was interviewed by Aaron Phillips. And Aaron Phillips said, have you got any plans in Adelaide? And he said, no, I don't like Adelaide. And then the next story is Darcy Fogarty getting a Cooper's can tattooed on himself. It's like, talk to the tat.
Yeah. Jack Higgins, if you're going to play Call of Duty and that's all you're going to be doing, like...
I hope they lose.
Yeah, me too. Don't like it.
No.
We beat you anyway, and you
Yep.
beat our crosstown rival. Still don't like it.
Yep, you've done your part, but yeah, thanks for nothing now.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, you dog. And you know what? We're going to have all the pie floaters and the frog cakes and keep them away from you.
Yep,
Boo.
you're not invited to the zip line.
Now, if you're coming into town for Gather Round, firstly, welcome to our amazing town. If you're listening to this, 2, Walk and Talk definitely will be happening after the Crows Cats game on Thursday night too.
Boy.
Possibly for a couple of other games too. I'm hoping it's going to be as fun as the 2023 Gather Round.
Oh, that was the best one.
That was the best one. That was so just like, you know.
I honestly recommend people to go back and watch that because it puts you in a good mood.
Yeah. Now, she's no longer a part of the pod, but Jade's mum was on there. And all I can say is she was only on for about 15 seconds. Very memorable. And then
Dawson's mum was also on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Dawson.
Yeah, after it just played unbelievably.
Yeah, and then I remember, how could I? Oh my God, 2 things. One, that kid coming on and said, Chase Jones can have my children. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, calm down. But the other one as well was I was wearing the Garden Stakes Guernsey.
Well, you almost got bashed.
Yeah, that guy that comes up and he's just like, what are you wearing that one for?
The funny part of that is you're interviewing someone and you're just going, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah. And then the guy who I'm interviewing goes into bat for me. And I'm just like, hey, do you think this top is taking the piss out of you? And the guy's like, no, not at all.
I like the guy. I think it's that bloke. I think it's his mate. And he's like describing how to kick a foot. He's imitating how to kick a foot.
Yes, that's right.
It's great content.
Oh, God. We've been doing the walk and talks. I was actually having a look back. Been doing them for 5 years.
Yeah, right.
The first one was with Damon walking around with a wooden spoon in 2020. He like brought it along with us.
Dark
It's
times.
like, fun times. Oh, jeez.
I just want to ask. I'll wait till we get to the end of the pod. I got a question for you to close it off.
Well, we're close to it, boss. Hit me.
Okay. What is your favourite gather around memory other than that walk and talk, and your best memory against Geelong so far.
Oh my!
Other
best...
than maybe we'll rule out the 2017 prelim because that's a bit obvious.
Well, I don't remember too much about 2017 prelim. I had the flu, like genuinely had the
A
flu.
week later.
Yeah, yeah. So I was at home, drunk as anything, after having Tamiflu, pseudoephedrine, and like 5 hot toddies. I was gone, and Miranda, and my dad had my ticket. So my dad went in place of me, and they said it was the best atmosphere ever. And I slept through the first 3 quarters.
Really?
Yeah. No, because like I was just passed out. I was just
Yeah.
I was very sick. And then I remember waking up and checking, at the time we had a thing that you'd get SMSs if there was a large transaction on your phone. We got allocated and our tickets went through for the grand final midway through the 4th quarter. Not a joke. I'll never forget that. Like they were just like, oh, fuck it, the Crows are going to win. Like we just start it now. Which was, yeah, I'll never forget that. And I'm just like, I think we're going to the grand final. Just falling asleep again because I was just like not good. So, my other favourite Geelong memory, I think, is, got in the Wayback Machine. The last time we won at Cardinia Park, was the Gary Ayres flicking the big V. Also last year, Filthy kicking that goal.
Giving it to them.
Absolutely giving it to. Something about Filthy, like this week he, punches a goal post. And then the AFL just like, yeah, we're not having any of that. Like, we'll get you back. But also, my favourite, purely for how much it changed things, I think, for all things Go Crom, was the 2021 round 1. Yeah. If it wasn't for that game, which we did a walk and talk after that game too, if it wasn't for that game, I don't think Go Crom would be as big as it was.
That was just, I'll never forget the standing ovation at quarter time and half time.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back on the footage as well and seeing how everyone's spaced out. Like,
yeah, I know.
Just with the right, it's like, what? Oh, that's right, the COVID. Yeah. But yeah, that's Patrick Dangerfield punching Jake Kelly into another contract.
Yeah.
That was really bad. My other big memory was my first finals over went to in 97. That semi-final against Geelong. That's an amazing game. Sitting next to 2 Beryl's, and who snuck my dad some Jack Daniels in a hip flask, and my dad was like, he was not feeling too great that night, and they were just like, have some of this, Dale. And my dad started getting up and about too. He doesn't follow footy, and I was like 8, I think. I had very vivid memories of that. What about yourself, Lachie? Because obviously different generations. So
well, obviously the prelim and 2021 are up there, but the one I did want to mention was because I thought the whole day leading up to it changed the fortunes of the club to a point. Was 2018, I think might have been round, I don't know, maybe let's go with 15, could be wrong. Rory Sloane, he re-signs on the Wednesday before. I'll never forget, it was about 11 a.m. and I was on school holidays at the time, got a phone call from Dad saying, have you seen the news? I said, what news? And I was thinking, oh, God. And after 2018, I think every Crows fan, if you told them, have you seen the news? Everyone went, oh, God, what now? And he was like, just check and then ring me back. So I hung up the call, and then the first notification I had was from the club. Sloane signs on for 5 years. I'll just never forget that. And then the night we beat Geelong the following night on the Thursday night, and he kicks the goal from 50, and crowd went crazy, and we won. I think we won by about 2 or 3 goals, and that
was amazing.
It's just amazing that night. That one for me.
Yeah, I'm going through my iMessages right now and just seeing like me messaging my cousin, two of my cousins, Marty, one of our Patreons, and Miranda as well, of Sloan 5-year deal, stick it up, yeah. Like a couple of poor friends.
It's going to find the game
11th,
itself.
the 11th of July, 2018. So it would have been
Yeah, so we played them on the 12th.
yeah, and
Round
Sloan
17.
marking the ball about at a 30-degree angle to the east side to the south end, and the roar of Sloaney going up, and he just nails the goal, and it's just like a big F you.
The other one of that, I've watched the highlights of that game many times, and BT, and I think it's about 3 minutes in, goes, "Oh, I definitely thought he was re-signing and going home to coming home to Melbourne." I was like, cop that.
Yeah, I think from memory, it was the Hawks that were really circling for him too,
Yeah,
and obviously
had a fair run in it as well from vague memory of it, but I was trying to block most of that out that year because we had a fair bit going on that year. But I thought that I'll never forget that re-sign. It's probably my favourite ever re-signing, and I don't think it'll be top.
Yeah, and from a personal perspective, I'm going to speak on behalf of Belle Sloan here a little bit. I remember she put something up about some of the absolute shocking abuse that she was getting from Crows fans before Sloaney had re-signed. I remember she put that up, and I'm thinking, I still had PTSD at that point about Patrick Dangerfield leaving because of Marty, essentially his wife, saying she wanted to go, and I was just like, they're gone. Like, I legitimately thought that, and to the point where I was like, do we need to send them a card or something? Like, you just be like, please stay. Because you think to yourself, if that's the way fans are going to conduct themselves, would you blame them for wanting to leave? Yeah.
But
so
that changed that year was just everyone sort of. I think if you're looking at positives from 2018, everyone links to that moment. So and I used Geelong as the example.
Oh, mate, they're beautiful. Now, let's get to our predictions. There's only two of us. So, obviously, we are playing Geelong on Thursday night at Adelaide Oval to kick off Gather Round 2. It is going to be a festival of footy, including a zip line, and I'm sure all the content creators descending onto Adelaide, and you are going to see so many Instagram stories, it's going to blow your mind. So, now, and shout out to some of our patrons. They're all patreon.com/Crowject. I know Alex is coming into town, and there's going to be a few other patrons coming in too. So hopefully we may do something at a bar somewhere too. So hit us up for that, and we'll send out some details soon. I say that only because the next week for me professionally is extremely busy. So I'm trying to mix that with all the things too. So now, Lachie, who wins? How much? And let's go with most contested possessions.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go with Adelaide by 19. And contested possessions, I will go with. Let me just drag up the team from Saturday so I'm not missing anyone. I'm going to go with Peatling. I think he's going to continue his good form.
That's who I was going to say too, so I guess birds of a feather. But I'm going to say if Adelaide Oval had a roof, it'd be bloody torn off the thing on Thursday night. I think that this is going to be an absolute colossal humping and a half. I'm calling the Crows are going to win by 55.
Oh!
5-5. Okay?
Wow.
You know why?
The lids will be soaring off into the Torrens if that happens.
There it goes. Gone. Lid off. Okay? Because after watching that Friday night cluster, there is no way that Geelong are going to get within anything of us. It's going to be a humping.
Okay.
Yep.
Hope you're right.
Wall of promises. I better write that one.
2020. Although, I will say, you did predict in 2023 that we were going to smash Carlton in gather round, and we did. I think you almost got the margin right, but
I think I was off by like 2.
yeah. So and we won that. I just checked before. We won by 56 points that day. So
Yeah, I reckon I said 50 from memory.
it was around that. So
Yeah,
I hope you're right.
yeah. Look, and I think I said at the time too that Carlton were on fraud watch. And
You were not a Michael. You'd never have been a Michael Voss believer.
No, but I'm not a Michael Voss believer purely for the fact that he is a one-trick pony. He's coached another side at Brisbane, and guess what? They were
were
one-trick
shit.
pony. Then, like, what do you expect? Like, anyway, look, I need to give a big thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/Crowject. You people are amazing. And honestly, we had a lot that was happening in our group chat this week. We had talking about so one of our patrons, Matt Monty, he's running in the federal election that's coming up for the Greens in the seat of Adelaide. And we were comparing our collective pets and dogs on what platforms they would be running on as well. And my golden retriever Comet on some of his views of, he would build a wall to keep the cats out and make the cats pay for it. So, things like that. I'm not saying that my dog is a Republican. He only goes woof, so I don't know what his
He
views
might
are.
be.
He's
Is he from like the south of the US or?
well, technically, I think golden retrievers are from Scotland from memory. So,
Well, maybe they
well,
have some interesting.
they're all
views
for
on
independence, I
US
guess, so.
politics.
Yeah, exactly. No, we had a lot that was going on as well. I want to give a shout out as well to Jess Cook as well, who were one of our patrons too, who went to the game too. We haven't heard from her much, so I hope she's okay. And look, head to crowject.bigcartel.com to get yourself all the Crom merch too. Shout out to Shane Gillis as well, and James Donald Forbes McCann as well for preaching the good Crom word too. And Lachie, do you have any final words, my man?
I don't. I think I got it all off my chest. I'm just pumped for Gather Round. It's my favourite 4 days of the year, so bring it on.
Fuck yeah. Here we go, my man. All right. So a big thank you to everyone, and thank you for tuning in, and go Crom.